You know, in our world today, data is everything. It's like the new currency. But get it wrong, and it can be a total disaster. So today, we're going to dive into how you can protect that data, how to stay on the right side of the law, and maybe most importantly, how to turn what could be a huge liability into one of your greatest assets. Let's jump right in. Okay, let's start with a number, 1.2 billion euros. And no, that's not some company's valuation. That is the record-breaking GDPR fine that was handed to Meta for privacy violations. Just think about that for a second. It's an absolutely staggering number, and it sends a really clear message, right? When it comes to your data, regulators are not messing around. So that brings up the big question for, well, pretty much any company out there. How do you make sure you're not the next headline? How do you keep your name out of those articles? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into. All right, first up, let's talk about the high cost of getting this wrong. And believe me, it's about way more than just the money. You know, a single data breach can kick off this just awful chain reaction. First, you've got the immediate costs. We're talking millions right off the bat. Then there's the damage to your reputation, which can be almost impossible to fix. And that's all before the lawyers even get involved. It's a nightmare scenario. And hey, don't think this is just a problem for the big tech giants. Just look at the Equifax breach. 147 million people. That's how many had their most sensitive info just out there. It really shows you that this isn't just some IT problem. No, it's a core business risk no matter how big or small you are. Okay, so the risks are pretty clear, right? So let's get into the rules of the game. Before we can build a solid defense, we've got to understand the playbook, the definitions and the frameworks that this whole world runs on. So what are we even talking about with data privacy? At its heart, it's really simple. It's about handling sensitive data the right way, the ethical way, through its entire journey, from the second you collect it to the moment you securely get rid of it. It's the absolute foundation of trust between you and your customers. And when we say sensitive data, it's a way bigger category than you might think. I mean, sure, we all know about the basics, right? PII, your name, your address, that stuff. But it goes so much deeper. We're talking financial info, health records, even your browsing history. And get this, even biometric data like fingerprints. All of it needs to be locked down tight. And to make sure everyone's playing by the rules, we have these major regulations. And let's be clear, these are not friendly suggestions. They are legally binding, and they have some serious teeth. You've got GDPR over in Europe, which is famous for the right to be forgotten. Then there's CCPA in California, all about transparency. And in the US, HIPAA for medical data. The list goes on, and the consequences for ignoring them are very, very real. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now for the fun part. Let's get practical. It's time to open up the data protection toolbox and look at the how, the actual techniques you'll use to keep data safe. So here's the essential toolkit. I want you to think of these as layers, like layers of armor for your data. You've got encryption, which basically scrambles everything so it's unreadable. Tokenization, which swaps out real data for a placeholder. Masking, which just hides parts of it. And of course, access control, which is like the bouncer at the door, only letting the right people in. Now, encryption, this is the absolute bedrock of security, and the gold standard is something called AES 256. The way it works is actually pretty cool. It's kind of like a super advanced digital safe. You take your data, you use a secret key to lock it up, and it becomes total gibberish. The only way to turn it back into something readable is to have that exact same key to unlock it. Simple, but incredibly powerful. Okay, let's clear something up, because people mix these two up all the time. Masking versus anonymization. They sound similar, but they're totally different. Masking just hides a piece of the data, right? Like blacking out part of an email. The original data is still under there somewhere, but anonymization, that permanently strips out anything that could identify a person. It's a one-way street, it's irreversible, and that's super important for things like public data sets or machine learning, where you need the data, but not the identity. Now, all these tools are fantastic, but here's the catch. They're not very effective if you just slap them on at the end as an afterthought. To really make this work, you have to build it in from the very beginning. And that's a strategy we call privacy by design. And the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. You don't build a house and then try to add the foundation, right? Same thing here. You build privacy into the DNA of your systems. It's a blueprint, really. Step 1, only collect the data you actually need. Step 2, give people the least amount of access they need to do their job. Step 3, encrypt that data the second it comes in. And finally, have a clear plan for when you're going to get rid of it. The whole point is to make privacy the default, not some special feature you add on later. And here's the really good news. You are not alone in this. You don't have to invent all this stuff from scratch. All the major cloud platforms, AWS, Azure, GCP, and even data platforms like Snowflake and Databricks, they all have these amazing, powerful tools built right in. They help you with everything from managing your encryption keys to controlling who sees what, helping you put all these principles into action, even at a massive scale. So, we've talked about the risks, we've gone over the rules, we've opened the toolbox, but when you zoom out, all this work, it's all pointing towards one single ultimate goal, and it's something way bigger than just tech or checking boxes on a compliance sheet. It really all comes down to this. Data without security? That's just a risk. It's a problem waiting to happen. But data with compliance? That's how you build trust. So I want to leave you with one final thought, a question to ask yourself about your own work. The data you're responsible for, right now, is it a ticking time bomb, a massive liability, or is it your single greatest asset for building and maintaining trust? Next time, we're going to build on all this. We're diving deep into access control and something called data lineage, which is all about tracking your data's journey from start to finish. It's going to be great. See you then.